My name is Sam. I'm 31 years old, a two-time felon. I currently do stagehand work. I'm a scab. I work on an overhire list for Local 36, and I've done 6 years in prison. Currently, I'm working on re-upping and moving my life to Detroit with my boyfriend, and we've met 5 months ago, and life's just been different for me. Life's been way better since I've gotten more honest with myself and who I am and what my character defects are. And I think that's a big thing. A big part of love is knowing yourself and who you're around, but also being able to accept yourself, because if you can't accept yourself, how are you going to accept your significant other, you know? What else am I supposed to mean?
It's okay. How did you meet your significant other?
Me and Sean met on Tinder. It was my first week home. I'd just done 3 years in prison, and I just jumped back on the interwebs to see what was going on. And funny thing is, I didn't even think he was a real person. I thought it was a bot at first. I was like, you know, how is this person attracted to somebody like me? And turned out to be a thing. And I started spending weekends with him in Cape May, just going to the gym, going to dinner. Weekends turned to weekdays, weeks at a time, and we just became a unit. And we're at a point now where we just want to spend the rest of our lives together. We're not married, we're not engaged. I think we've just found each other. We found the right person, you know? I don't think you have to put a time on love. There's no, you guys have only known each other 5 months, how are you this close or whatever. I would ask anybody, like, how long did you know your best friend before you knew they were your best friend? Or, you know, even your significant other, because I know plenty of people that have been in relationships for 3, 4, 5 months and gotten engaged and married in less than a year, and they're still flourishing, you know?
So, and now on a personal side, I've known you almost a decade of my life, and seeing you with your new boyfriend, it was kind of like a shell shock. I would have never guessed, and it's almost the persona you put on. I mean, looking at you, tall dude, tattoos, very, you know, not intimidating, but like you can command a room, right?
For sure. Yeah, and that's the one thing that now that I'm where I'm at, it's I like to say I'm defeating the stereotype. You know, people take one look at me. I'm not the most approachable person. You know what I mean? I got quite a bit of face tattoos, and I'm not the shortest, not the smallest person. Just have a conversation with me, and I dare anybody to do that with anybody that they're underestimating or intimidated by for whatever reason. Like, looks are the most deceiving thing. The most deceiving thing. You never know who you're standing next to, or belittling, or shaking hands with. You just never know. And I've seen the craziest things come out of these situations. That's why you can't put anything past anybody, you know? And one of the cliche little stereotypes is that, you know, with me, I always was scared people would think that this was a facade, when in reality, this is just who I am. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be like a flamboyant, you know, people are into what they're into. That's why I think also for the longest I wasn't comfortable with coming out, because people will judge you, you know? But I think that's what makes you a stronger person, is just being able to, you know, brush that off. And that's kind of where I'm at now. As long as I'm happy, I don't really care what other people think.
Now, a lot of people in your situation, you know, somebody that didn't broadcast what they knew about themselves for a long time, you know, a lot of our friends never knew. How did your family support you throughout this?
Everybody supported me. Everybody, the love was, it was amazing. And it's almost like deep down, I knew that the support was going to be there. I just was not ready to support myself. And growing up in institutional environments, growing up in prison environments, jails, like, that's unacceptable. And you don't do that. And so I really battled with myself. Is this who I am? Is this how I am? Is this a phase? Because I'll tell you, when I was younger, I literally thought I'd wake up one day and stop liking what I liked, you know. And the older you get, the more you're either gonna. One of my favorite quotes is, "The faster you run from your demons, the harder or the more exhausted you are when they catch up to you," you know. And I don't want to be tired. Like, I just want to be happy. And I recommend anybody that's going through what I went through, I challenge you to just try and be yourself in front of anybody. And literally, you'll start to see who comes out the woodwork to support you, you know.
Amen. Now, you've had a history of making almost bad choices or the wrong choices, destructive choices, being the key word. Do you think self-loathing during accepting your kind of who you are had anything to play in that?
Self-loathing as in, like, I can't do this, or like, this isn't me, or, you know what I mean?
Putting yourself in a bad position because you weren't happy with who you were.
Oh yeah. There's been times where, like, I would consider myself an institutionalized being. There were times when I literally felt that I didn't belong in society. Like, I was better off behind the walls because I didn't know how to make proper decisions, or everything I did damaged me, you know? And I literally was like, well, in order to keep me from hurting myself or, you know, others, or whatever the case may be, like, maybe this is where I belong. You know, I've checked myself into, you know, mental hospitals. I've been diagnosed with different mental illnesses. And that's just all factored into me being comfortable with me, you know? And I also think that for the longest, my drug use, that was how I numbed me running from who I was, you know? Like, my drug of choice was amphetamines, methamphetamine, and whenever I would do that, I stopped caring. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't change, but I stopped caring about myself. So it was almost like I was comfortable, but then I became uncomfortable because I was a drug addict. So it's like, what I'm doing isn't cool because I'm using this, you know? Even when it came to, like, driving fast, like, I would drive my car and hope I get into an accident, or speed past the cops, see if they'd pull me over so I could run, or, like, I write graffiti, I want to go and paint in the daytime, or do stupid stuff, like extremely self-destructive stuff while on the run, or while on parole, or while having a gun, like stuff that could get enhanced, even if it's something that could go from a citation to a felony, you know? It's just nothing. The definition of insanity: repeating the same thing over and over again.
Why do you want to be loved?
Because I'm scared to be alone. You know, there's times when I feel like I make my best decisions when I'm by myself, and there's other times when I'm my best person when I'm with my person. I feel like no matter how comfortable one is with being by themselves, I feel like everybody truly needs their person. And love's a two-way street, you know? So I want to be loved because I know how to love.
What does love mean to you?
Love to me means just constantly being there for your person, whether you're angry, sad, anything. It's constantly showing up for the people in your life, in the people or persons in your life, whether they be a state away, across the country. Like, show up however you can. Be there for them. Give them advice. Pull them up. You know, that materialistic stuff is cool, but it only goes so far, you know?
How do you keep the love you have when you disagree or fight with your partner?
That's a great question. Recently, because we get into tiffs, you know, I also think that love isn't love unless you have disagreements. If everything's so perfect all the time, then you really need to take a deep dive and reevaluate some things. What him and I do is, honestly, if we get to a point where we're feeling like tense or tension, or we might say something we're gonna regret, we literally just voice the fact that we need a couple minutes. Like, hey, I'm starting to feel myself get angry with this conversation. I need 10 minutes. I'll hit you back in 20 minutes, 10 minutes, FaceTime you, and we will talk this out. Because me personally, I know when I'm feeling a certain way, what I say may not actually be what I'm feeling. It might just be something to get you off my back or whatever. But I know once I'm back level-headed, then I can communicate why I was feeling this way. And I'm not worried about you judging me, and you're not worried about getting mad at me, you know?
Does your past trauma affect your current love?
100%. I'm also bipolar. So I have mornings where I wake up and I just feel like I'm drowning, you know what I mean? And it's hard sometimes for him to wrap his head around why yesterday was so perfect, but today is different and nothing's changed, you know? I forgot the question.
Does your past trauma affect your current love?
Yeah, and so again, I also think my past trauma is part of my insecurities too. Like I also think about what I've went through and try and equate it to what's going on with my life now. And what somebody told me the other day was you got to learn to accept it, but not let it consume you, you know? And that's a big problem I have is it's like if I accept it, it's all I'm going to think about. It's all I'm going to think about. Well, even if it's all you think about, there's still ways that you can express it, you know? It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're expressing it in a positive way.
What would you sacrifice for love?
You know, I think even right now, I'm making some sacrifices that I wouldn't generally do. My comfortability. Like, I'm about to uproot myself and go to a state that I've only been to 3 times and with no friends or whatever. So I would give my support system up, which is kind of what I'm doing in order to have love, because love is like a whole nother support system. Not like I would 86 to people that love me, but I'd be willing to leave to go and try something different, and that may be misinterpreted, but.
Now, this is your first relationship, like true relationship, right?
For sure.
And you're 31.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Love has no bounds. What has your partner sacrificed for you so far that you've seen?
Oh man. So my partner's in the Coast Guard, and he has his own story too. And I honestly think that since he's met me, he may have had to maybe even go back to like how he was in order to empathize with some of the things I go through. For lack of better words, maybe even relive some traumas that he's been through, you know? And I know some people aren't willing to do that. He's willing to just literally, if it's uncomfortable, but we're gonna get to the bottom of things and be comfortable, then he's willing to do that. And he's sacrificed so much already.
What do you value most in life?
Honestly, my relationships, like whether it be boyfriend, girlfriend, or just friends, like I value the people around me because they're around me for a reason. They're not just around me because I have shit, because you know what I mean? Like I'm a nobody. They're around me because it's genuine. So like I literally, my relationships, that's, you know.
Have you ever been afraid you wouldn't find someone you truly loved?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Something I literally I used to lay in my bunk at night in prison and tell myself, if I came home and met the right person, then that's the person that I would come out with. You know what I mean? And it just so happened that the right person fell in my lap. So yeah, but I have been scared. And I have been to a point where I'm like, I'm cool with never being in a relationship. I'm cool with never getting married. You know, I'm all right with living this way. If I got to go do a couple years, couple months, come back, do it again. I've started over 20 times, you know?
What matters most in a relationship to you?
Honesty. Honesty for sure.
Since you, were you in jail during the pandemic?
Yeah. I was at CFCF and then I bailed out, so I was home.
Okay.
I was in jail for maybe a couple months though.
So, how did the pandemic change your perspective on dating and relationships?
Everybody had money during the pandemic. I think that people, the pandemic was like the material era. You know what I mean? Like everybody became somebody because of what they had. You know, there was a lot of fraudulent shit created from the pandemic. So I think that there was a lot of fake love going on in the pandemic. It was a lot of dollar signs and not real love, you know?
Do you feel people approach love differently now compared to before COVID?
No.
How comfortable are you with meeting somebody in person versus meeting them online today? I know you spoke about meeting your significant on Tinder, and I've always known you to be very extroverted and being able to talk to people online. Were you nervous meeting somebody
Hell
you've never
yeah.
met?
Hell yeah. And like I've done the hookups and all that, and it was different because one, I saw him as so out of my league. You know what I mean? Like that's that insecurity was getting the best of me. And it literally, I have like anxiety when it comes to just speaking on a phone. I have like phone anxiety. Like, so I am better meeting people in person. But I think what helped me was just being honest from the door. Is like I told him the first couple sentences was like, I'm not gonna lie, I just came home. You know, like this is new to me. Not Tinder, but just everything is new to me all over again. And no judgment was passed, you know.
Did the lockdowns make you more cautious about who you gave your time and energy to?
No, but it also made me realize who was really there for me, because a lot of people, like batting down the hatches during COVID, but also there were people that were like, I want my friends, like I'm not worried about any of that. And so it was the ones that came out and literally just hit up. We all just continued doing what we were doing. It was business as usual, you know?
What role does technology like dating apps, video calls, and social media play in your relationship now, especially since you're in kind of a long distance relationship right now?
Great question. So my partner is on social media, but he actually deleted his, like he doesn't use it anymore since we've been together, which I really respect and admire. But I also, the selfish part of me also wants him to be on there, and like I want the world to know about us, which I do on mine, and which took a little bit for me to really do. Like we were probably together 2-3 weeks, and I was like, finally, like, you know, I'm happy about this, you know. I think that social media also plays a negative role. Algorithms are crazy. You know, you look at 1-2 things and then your whole feed will become about it. And I think there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of days when I want to just delete my social media because I'm tired of seeing violent videos or like just negative stuff, you know, like it really puts a bad taste in my mouth.
Now, when I saw you first with your boyfriend, it was a picture, you know, on social media, and I was, you know, shocked and happy all in once. I was shocked because like you were the last person I would ever expect to have a boyfriend. I'll be honest. And I was happy because I was like, wow, you know, you're brave, you're courageous, and you have love.
Thank you, man.
How was kind of the reactions you got from lifelong friends or people you've known for a while on social media when they saw that? You know, did you? I like messaged you.
Yeah,
like,
hell yeah,
bro,
dude.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I remember.
Did you get a lot of that, or
all that. Like, and that's, and that's what I'd say to anybody who's struggling. Like, you just never know. Like, you never know till you try. You never know till you know. Don't make it up. Don't make it up in your head that this is what it's gonna be. You're gonna damage yourself. You got to manifest the positivity, and that's deep down. That's what I was doing, but I just wasn't ready for the negativity if it were to happen. And so far, everything's just been great.
What are your standards and expectations in a partner when it comes to a relationship?
I want my partner to be able to also understand. I never like using mental health as like a crutch or an excuse, but it's there. And so being able to have a partner that understands what I go through on a daily basis and also can help pull me up when I'm feeling a certain way, or they know when to step back and just let me live with my thoughts for a couple minutes. Just knowing that and having a partner that can support me and me support them. That's the main thing for me.
Do you find it easier or harder to trust people after the pandemic?
Oof. I don't trust people as it is. So I think that the pandemic definitely put a strain on my trust with the public. Because like I said, there was a lot of people living an image that they really weren't just because that PUA was coming in. So yeah, definitely my trust was a little bit lower.
How has the importance of physical closeness versus emotional connection changed for you over the years?
Oh man, coming from a place where you literally, like, you're not even hugging people in jail, you know what I mean? Unless that's your family member. So from going to that to cuddling with somebody, to kissing somebody, making love with somebody, yeah, like it's foreign. It is foreign in the beginning. But at the end of the day, that's something that I as a human need. Like I used to not think that. I thought my dog was good enough, you know what I mean? Just cuddle with my pup, you know? But nah, human connection is, I think everybody needs a little bit of it.
Did the pandemic, or in your case being locked up, make you more focused on self-love and independence, or more eager for companionship?
More eager for compassion, for sure. I already had been putting the work in to learn to love myself, and I was at a point where I'm like, you know, I'm only getting older. I need to at least try the relationship route. You know, I never gave it a chance because of trust and because of the way that I was living. And so, yeah, I felt the need to work on like human interaction and relationships and compassion, and yeah.
In what ways do you think your energy or presence has changed since the pandemic? Do you believe others perceive it in the dating relationship you're in?
No, I think that I think during the pandemic, one thing that I also noticed was like if people were gonna date, they were still gonna date. Like if you were you'll go have a picnic or you'll go figure it out.
When you think about the love you want to receive, do you feel you embody those same qualities that you show for others?
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I drive to Detroit once a month to go see mine. You know, I drive to California if I had to, and I think that's really that's love to me. Is like it's no boundaries. You know, there's no force field, no nothing. I'm gonna go to wherever my person is.
How has your definition of vulnerability evolved? And do you allow others to truly see you as you are now?
Yeah, I used to look at vulnerability as a negative thing coming from the environments that I grew up in. And now I think that being vulnerable as a man is a strength. For you to be able to like let somebody in on your weaknesses, but you're also working on them at the same time, that's vulnerability. You know, vulnerability to me isn't just living with a weakness and being scared that people are going to find out about it. That's being weak, you know, that's being timid. Vulnerability is just being able to be open, you know.
Do you believe the isolation of COVID revealed habits or patterns in yourself, or in your case, being locked up, that you are now conscious of and try to change?
Yeah, for sure. As an addict, like that, the addiction was already there. The isolation just gave me more time to do it, you know, and just go down the rabbit hole.
How do you think the balance between your independence and your desire for connection shows up in the way you love today?
I think that by me being such an independent person, and this isn't, I'm not trying to sound like full of myself, but I think by being independent, that is also like an attractive trait to some people. It is like with me, if I see somebody that's independent in their life, they pay their bills, they got their own place, own car, that's attractive to me. So I think they both kind of coincided. Like me and being independent also gained friendships and relationships, if that makes sense.
Do you feel you attract partners who mirror your inner state? And if so, what does that say about the version of yourself you're putting into the world?
I think that my inner state at this point is the stuff that I'm like super uncomfortable with and still working on. So I think I've attracted partners based around the person that I really am. Like I think everything's genuine.
Has the pandemic shifted your ability to express gratitude, patience, or empathy in relationships? And how do you think that affects your love that you receive?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, I've definitely learned how to express more empathy and gratitude because I think the pandemic also gave people a glimpse of what it's like to be locked up in a sense or on house arrest or not be able to go do what you want when you want. It took away a lot of freedoms.
When you reflect on your past, do you see ways in which your own fears and defenses may have shaped the outcome of where you stand today?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're okay. When you reflect on your past, do you see ways in which your own fears or defenses may have shaped the outcome of where you are today?
Absolutely. Fear is what drives me a lot of the time, whether it be like being physically scared or fear of failure. That's what drives me. To either not do something that I should be doing or to do something that I know is going to hurt me. Like I like to say I work off fight or flight, you know, because I'm like a very anxious person. So yeah, I think that fear is kind of what drives me a lot of the time, you know.
How do you overcome those fears?
Talking to my person, talking to different friends, people like you. Like it's all about getting different perspectives on things.
What do you think your presence in someone's life teaches them about love, resilience, and intimacy?
That one's deep. Well, one thing that my partner's told me is that since we've been together, he's learned to be a lot more selfless and just care more about people in general. He comes from a military background, so I think for a long time that got embedded in him, and he's finally been able to like let his guard down.
If you were to love someone exactly as you currently show up, would they? That one's kind of a repeat. What has been something that's helped you throughout your journey? Like a piece of advice or something you hold true to your heart that anytime you're feeling down or you're struggling, you remember this and you kind of act on it?
Love that. So I'm big on quotes, and I scream the quote to myself all the time. You can become bitter or you can become better. And I look at all the stuff I've been through, all the stuff that I've put myself through, all the people that have hurt me, all the stuff I've done to myself, and I ask myself, am I going to be bitter or better? Am I going to keep taking 5 steps back, or am I going to take 10 steps forward? And that's just how I choose to live.
So these are our last 2 questions. Where do you hope this newfound love takes you?
Oh man, I hope to get married. I want to have sons one day. I know there's an unpopular opinion on that. I want to have kids. I want to be able to make sure that people don't make the same mistakes I did. I want to do some outreach and give back. But like with me and my partner, I want to literally just build. I want to go from a small house to a property. I want to go from an engagement ring to a wedding ring, you know, like I know the grass will always be greener with him. You know,
Determination and perseverance will take you anywhere you want to go.
that's a fact.
What is one fear you have now that you're in a relationship for the first time in your life? What is one maybe overwhelming fear that you have, whether it be losing that or whether it be,
There's always going to be somebody better than me out there. You know what I mean? So I always get, and that's my insecurity. I'm always worried that, you know, there's going to be the Mr. Right walking down the street one day, or, you know, and it's stupid to think that when somebody's ready to literally move you out there and do X, Y, and Z, and that's the insecurities. So I always just get worried about there being a Mr. Better than me, you know, and then it's always going to be like that, but. You know.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
If there's anybody out there struggling or anybody going through some of the same things that I went through, I challenge you to just talk to somebody about it. Try and do something different than you did yesterday. Try and do something less hurtful to yourself. Tell somebody you love them. Give someone a hug, because you never know when they're not going to be there anymore. Just do all that. Don't take things for granted. I did all that.
Well, thank you very much.
Anytime, man.